Guess what, everyone? I have exciting news. You don't want to tell anyone, but you know what? I'll tell you later, so stay tuned. Welcome back, Psych Dude family. It's good seeing each and every one of you guys today. So I have exciting news. You probably already read the title, but I've been a Psych NP for over a year now. As a new grad and as RNs, you know what a year means. I can do anything now. But all kidding aside, honestly, I've been a Psych NP for over a year now, and this process has been a journey. Definitely, I've had some good moments and I've had some bad moments, but right now I'm in a good place and I love what I do. I love the jobs that I have. I probably wouldn't change it for the life of me. So in this video, I'm gonna be going over the good and the bad of my job and my feelings in terms of what I went through throughout my journey as a Psych NP for the first year. So enjoy. So I'm probably gonna be all over the place in this video and probably gonna ramble a lot, but I just want to give you my initial impressions on how it feels to have 1 year of experience and just my process throughout this whole year. Yes, there were good times and yes, there were bad times, but right now I'm in a good place with 3 of my jobs, one being telepsych, one being in a community mental health center, and then one being in a private practice. So there's that special good balance between all 3 of my jobs. So there are bad moments, especially in the beginning. The reason being is because you're set out there, you've always had your preceptor behind your back, and now you're a new grad all by yourself, and all the patients you see, there's no one going to be behind you looking over your medication choices, looking over anything, and you're going to be the one person that the patient trusts. So imagine going out there as an RN that always had all of these orders, and you could just do all of these orders and then critically think. But in this instance, you don't necessarily have anyone behind you. You're the one who's making the judgment call. If you don't make that right judgment call in the beginning, guess who suffers? The patient. And guess who might suffer later on depending on the liability? You. And all those things are going through your head, especially in the beginning. So the first 6 months is relatively rough because you're just trying to adjust. You're trying to make decisions. You're trying to make sure you're doing everything correctly to the T and making sure you're providing the right medication. And if you do slip up that one time or you forget that to do something, everything's on your conscience. And unfortunately, a lot of new providers go through this, and I went through this. Not necessarily the liability part, but just thinking I missed something when in fact I didn't, and just second guessing my decision making, especially with medications. You know, it's like you're prescribing the medication for the very first time and not knowing if it's gonna work, if it's working for this person. Yeah, it might have worked for a person that you had during clinicals, especially with your preceptor there, but it might not work for this person, and now you're having to decide, is this gonna work? Which medication is better? Which one am I gonna add on? Which one am I gonna change? And sometimes as a new grad, you're gonna inherit patients. They've been on so many different medications and you don't know what to do next. And that was probably the biggest thing. It's not knowing what to do next. They've had so many different medications and you don't know which one to titrate up, which one to titrate down. You don't know which one to add on, which one to take away. And you honestly learn a lot in school, but you don't learn everything. And all of these new drugs that are people on, you're looking through your prescriber guide and you're like, this medication isn't even on here. How am I even gonna prescribe this? So all of these things are going through your head and you feel like everything's going wrong, and now you have to take on the role that you're a provider. So typically, regardless of where you're at, you're gonna be seen as a management position. So you either have to have an assistant. So when you do have this assistant, you have to manage them and you have to make sure they're doing their job. So not only are you managing people's medications, all of these patients, and then now you have to manage someone else that works underneath you. So you have to take in all of those different stressors. Yes, as an RN, you do manage like LVNs, the NAs, things like that, but it's to a different extent. Now you have the responsibilities with all of these patients, all of this mess, your hours. You have to see if you want to take the patient, if they're late, if you don't want to take the patients, and see what you want to do. And what throws a curveball into all of the situations is what happened if their patient's suicidal and you have to call the pet team or the cat team. then you have to deal with that within itself. Time management is probably the biggest thing too, so definitely take that into consideration. That's not only the bad thing. I do have other things that I want to talk about in terms of bad, meaning other types of management depending on where you're working. I did have to quit a job after just 6 months experience. The reason being is because I didn't feel comfortable with the type of care that the managers or the collaborating psychiatrists actually wanted. And I know it's happening around here. I talked to several of my classmates, and a lot of them left their job within like the first 3 months, 6 months, because they didn't feel like they were safe under that psychiatrist. I'm not going to say any names, but for the most part, a lot of them, you just have to take in consideration that you might be with psychiatrists that you might not feel comfortable with, and since they're the psychiatrist and they're technically your supervising or collaborating psychiatrist, you don't necessarily have to do what they say, but it's like, okay, kind of do what I want you to do, and this is how I kind of want you to prescribe. And they're always looking over your back and not necessarily having the same amount of just like the same amount of autonomy as you thought you would have compared to when you were your preceptor. So sometimes you have to just run with it, unfortunately. Sometimes you just have to stick up for yourself and leave, and that's what I had to do ultimately in the 6 months. I typically don't try to leave jobs because I like to stay in my job, like, because I'm a creature of habit, so I love just being in that one place. And now all of a sudden I had to leave my job after 6 months. I actually felt horrible for doing it because I'm gonna miss those patients, but at the same time it seems like the psychiatrist was the one who's prescribing for me. Like, I come up with my own care plan, I come up with what I want to do, the medications I want to do, and all of a sudden, since you have to meet with them and then collaborate with them, they change up all of your decision making, and that part of it sucks also. So those first 6 months, it kind of sucks, and if you are a new grad, definitely take that into consideration. There's a certain amount of good collaboration and a certain amount of good supervision, but you don't want it to be to the point where they're just prescribing for you and you're not necessarily using your knowledge to help prescribe and treat the patient. So that's the bad part of it. But the good part of it is I'm able to treat patients and I actually make an impact. At first, I always had that misconception, like, yeah, medications will help, but it's not going to entirely fix. And it's still true, but you don't understand how much of an impact the medications can make to someone. It can make that difference of you having them not work and then putting them on a right regimen of medications and them going back to work and them being with their family, or getting custody of their children, getting custody of their family, and them stop taking drugs, things like that. You don't understand how much of an impact you make, and I didn't know how much of an impact I made. I know, yeah, people get depressed, people get anxious, and that's the gist of a lot of the things that we did during clinicals, because we don't necessarily follow up with them. We have our 16 months, our 16 weeks of rotation where we're actually seeing patients, but then we only see them max 3 times, 4 times max, but we don't necessarily see the impact we have on their lives throughout the whole entire year. Now that I've been an NP for over a year now, I'm able to see that. I'm able to see how much of an impact I made on someone's life based on my decision making. How good is that? I love the fact that I'm able to make that. I wish there's like other medications where you can make that impact right away and see it like, okay, I gave you antibiotic and now you're healing properly after a month or even less than that, couple weeks, and you already see that impact. But in psychiatry, unfortunately, it's one of those things where it's a slow game. It's a slow game where you have to wait and see if things are gonna do well, and then you have to titrate up slowly and see how well it works for you. But once you make that impact, best feeling in the world, coming in smiling, they're clean, taking showers every day, doing their ADLs and working or going to school. Probably the best feeling in the world, especially making that impact. So another good thing about having more experience, especially over the year, is you have so many job opportunities now. Like, yes, you have a grip of opportunities in the beginning, but now it just opened doors. Like, after a year, you're able to do telepsychiatry. So fortunately for me, I was able to do telepsychiatry when I was working for 9 months, because I knew someone that got me in. It's, like I said, it's who you know, not what you know. So I was able to do that. But just my experience overall is this is probably the best job I've ever had, best career choice. Yes, I did make an impact in the RN role, in the ER, and then working in psych, but not as much as an impact as I have as being a provider. It's like people look at you different. Like people are able to, you're able to portray a sense of you knew what, or you know what you're doing, and that you're confident in what you do. And that's what I love about this role, especially being in like the community mental health center. You're able to have that autonomy, you're able to make decisions for yourself, and you're able to make all of these things to impact patients at the very end. I feel like I'm rambling, but for the most part I just wanted to give you my thoughts. Like I said, there's bad moments and there's good moments, and most of the time I love what I do, and I'm so happy that I'm doing what, and I'm glad I chose this profession, because I don't know what I would be doing besides this. Like, yeah, you can work as a ER RN or as a psych RN, and it's amazing, don't get me wrong, I loved what I did every single day, but this is a whole different feeling. Like the amount of impact you can make, and you could also ruin someone's life, but the amount of good wins, it's probably way more than the bad wins or bad losses. But I love what I do, I can't complain, I have such a good balance. And for all the NPs out there, or all the Psych NPs out there, or the Psych NP students, or the ones that want to be Psych NPs, definitely take a look into this profession, please, because you don't even understand how much an impact you can make and how much joy you can bring into someone's life based on your decision making. And the beauty of all is you're able to provide therapy. Imagine being able to give the right medications and provide therapy. That's what we do, guys. That's what we do on a daily basis, and we're able to make an impact on people's lives. Yes, you're gonna go through bad moments where you don't know necessarily everything, you don't know what to do for the next moment, you don't know which medication to adjust, and you're gonna have to look it up or collaborate with someone else. But you're also gonna have those amazing moments where someone's gonna come in and thank you from the bottom of their heart for everything that you've done to help them. Imagine making that impact. Well guys, I'm probably going to end the video here. I feel like I'm rambling. I feel like I just went on and on and on. It wasn't necessarily sequential, but I just wanted to give you my initial thoughts. I didn't make a script, I didn't do anything. I was just speaking from my heart in terms of everything that went on throughout this full year. Definitely take all of these things into consideration. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified when I do come out with another video. And like I said, guys, I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers. Out of 1,000 subscribers, I'm gonna be giving away 2 prescriber guides. So stay tuned, guys. As always, guys, have a wonderful day. The Psych Dude is out. Bye.